Let's learn how to put together a workout. Welcome to Strong for Life Live. This is Coach Josh Wood down here in Hobart, Tasmania. It is the 26th of September. Man, time flies. 26th of September. And this is the podcast for busy parents and busy professionals, anyone short on time, looking to become strong for life. And if you're tuning in live, great to see you. If you are tuning in on your favorite podcast platform, feel free to say hi. As always, please leave a good review, as many stars as you can. Share it with your friends. If you found something useful or interesting, tell people about it. It really helps. And if you're not sure where to find this, you can find this podcast on Amazon Music, on Spotify, on Apple, all the cool places where the cool kids hang out. Now, the big focus today is going to be on how you can put together a workout. But before that, announcements. Don't have much going on right now. Just kind of trying to sort things out for end of year. There is one major thing, and that is if you have been sitting on the fence trying to figure out if it's time to actually start getting Strong for Life and join the Strong for Life online coaching team as one of our fantastic clients, now's your chance. So coming up in October, there will be the annual price increase. As we all know, cost of living is going up so much. Inflation's up 7%. All these things need to be taken into account, and there will be a small price increase on our coaching services. So if you want to get in before the price goes up, head over to strongforlife.online and have a read. Hit me up with any questions, or if you're ready to go, you can apply for one of the coaching spots. So go to the coaching application on the website, apply, and every day I get up and I look through applications, and those that are ready to take those steps to a better and stronger future, they get an email from me. And then we chat and see if this is going to be a good fit, because there are no guarantees. So, news out of the way. Let's talk about how to build a training program. Now, this I'm going to try and I've taught in health sciences and fitness, and I taught personal trainers for years. I've been in education a long time in this sphere, and so I can sometimes get jargony because I'm often speaking with fitness professionals or future fitness professionals. So I do apologize. I will try to simplify things, but the goal is in this podcast, which usually, runs 15, 20 minutes, which I try to keep them pretty short and concise. The goal is at the end of that time, you will have a decent idea of how to make a program for your specific goals. So let's look at where to start. The very first thing that you need to look at and decide before doing any program, whether it's starting with a coach or starting with one of the training apps or following YouTube videos, you need to know why you're training. What are your goals? Someone who is trying to have the biggest deadlift is not going to train the same way as the person who's just trying to get jacked. If you are climbing mountains, literal mountains, you're not going to train the same as someone who's trying to get a six-pack. You're not going to train the same as someone who is trying to do their first fun run or for just general health and wellness. There will be differences in how you train, sometimes major, sometimes minor. So the very first thing you need to do when creating a training program for yourself or your friends or whatever is decide why you're doing it. And I'm not going to give you a bunch of different training programs for different goals. I want you to learn how the programs actually should function based on what you're trying to achieve. So start there. Figure out what's important and why you're going to do it. A little pro secret: everybody wants to gain muscle mass. If you are new to training, if you haven't done a lot of physical training, no matter what you do, you're going to build muscle. And that's good. So if you're looking at it from a longevity perspective, the more lean mass you have, the more functional tissue, the tissue that actually does good things for you in life, the more of that lean mass that you have going into your older years, the greater correlation with longevity, meaning people who have more lean mass tend to live longer. That's a good enough reason to build some muscle. Strong hips and legs and core keep people healthy and active into their older years. If you're just new to this, you just want to get stronger across the board. You want to build some muscle, and you want to build good functional muscle and quality movement. Now, the way that I like to program for general purpose is a system I call adaptive training, because adaptive training is about helping you adapt to the stresses of life. It's a training system that works well for most situations. Another way to label this is what we'd call concurrent training or functional training, meaning you're kind of training for a lot of goals at the same time. If you want to be really good at powerlifting, you need to powerlift. If you want to be good at a lot of different things, you need to do what's called concurrent training or functional training or what I call adaptive training, because it allows you to hit multiple training adaptations all at the same time. Will you be the strongest? No. Will you be the fastest? No. Will you be pretty damn good at most things? Yes. And that's the key for most people. You need to be pretty good at a lot of things. So the key feature to all training programs that make them worthwhile, and this is why you hire professionals, is everything comes down to your stimulus to fatigue ratio, or stress to fatigue, or stress to recovery ratio. So the idea is, how much stress or how much stimulus can you put your body under and recover from? Because stress and stimulus make you tired. They wear you out. And if you have too much stimulus, too much stress, too consistently, without managing the fatigue, you break or you burn out. And we don't want that. And that's why I was chatting with some clients today about deloads. So let's look at, say you want to have general fitness. You want to be stronger. You want to be more jacked. You want to be capable of going out for a big hike, throwing your screaming toddlers over your shoulder, carrying all the groceries, that kind of thing. In the beginning, you'll train for multiple adaptations. What I like to do is say, okay, we're going to set out a chunk of time. We call this a training block. I like to train people or program for 4 to 6 week blocks. That means at the end of that block, you will work really hard, and then you will have a deload, a little break, to help you recover so you can go hard again in the next block. I like to program those for most people consistently so that we don't reach the point of burnout and breaking. So, general rules. When we do training, the basic underlying principle is what we call the SAID principle, SAID, specific adaptation to imposed demands, meaning what you make your body do is what you will adapt to. If you want to become faster, don't train slow. If you want to run further, you have to run further. If you want to get stronger, you have to lift heavy things. If you want to get bigger and stronger, you have to have the right stimulus, and then you have to recover from it. So set your goal, choose a training block, 4 to 6 weeks. At the beginning, it doesn't really matter. Just pick a unit of time that you're going to write your program for. Then go, okay, based on my goals, what stimulus do I have to put myself under? That's the SAID principle. When it comes to training or workout exercise order, we always want to put the most complex or most demanding things at the top and the least complex and least demanding things at the bottom of the list. So if you're writing your program, your workout for the day, you'd want to put speed and power work at the top, followed by maybe speed and then power, followed by complex movements, or if it's really complex stuff, you do that first, followed by strength, followed by either conditioning or hypertrophy, meaning higher volume stuff, followed by conditioning / endurance. So this paradigm we're using, this adaptive training, this functional training, is all about getting the most adaptations in the smallest amount of time at the same time. And let's just quickly talk about functional training. So, functional training is not what you see on the internet generally. It's not weird shit on Bosu balls. It's not balancing while swinging barbells. Functional means you are solving a problem with your body. It means that you are doing something task specific. Something is functional when it improves your ability to do a task. So, getting stronger is functional training for powerlifting. Getting faster will be functional training for boxing. If your goal is to become strong for life, you want to do a lot of different things. So, first thing we want to look at is getting you warmed up. A warm up is preparing your body for the activities you're going to do in the main workout. The warm up is going to make sure you get the most out of your work portion. So I break it into warm up, work, maybe a cool down. And it depends on your time frame. So in your warm up, you can do something general, like just cardio, the goal being to get your core body temperature up. Warm yourself up, literally. Get a little sheen of sweat going. With something like that, you might want to do treadmill or stairs or walk around the block or go for a jog. And I generally will say do 15-ish minutes of general movement, if that's your choice, to get you warmed up. The alternative is if you don't have a lot of time, we want to do the most important stuff first. And the most important stuff is anything that reinforces your capacity to function in the world. Good movement quality. And so I'll often do a little bit of core work, a little bit of mobility, a little bit of stability. So things like body weight squats and lunges, walkouts, shoulder dislocations, any sort of plank variation. Because core strength is really important for people who have any sort of back instability. So I come from a long history of back pain. I do the core stuff first when you're fresh. Not to fatigue, because just blasting your core to exhaustion doesn't really do a lot for you, but to train the strength and stability. So a good example of a common workout system or warm-up system that I use is I take 4 exercises, something like, let's say a goblet squat or a bodyweight squat or some variation of that, followed by something glute specific, like a bridge or a hip thrust or a single leg variation. A little bit of core, something like a walkout or a dead bug or a bird dog. And then a final exercise would be something real mobility based, probably for the shoulders if we're doing a full body workout. So like shoulder dislocations. So take 4 exercises, you do a handful of reps, and repeat that 2 to 4 times. Usually takes you about 8 to 12 minutes, depending on the exercise selection and your familiarity to it. Takes about 10-ish minutes, somewhere in there. And at that point, you should be fairly warm and everything's functioning very well, setting yourself up for the workout. So choose your warm up based on the workout and the time span you have. Then, if you have a speed or power movement that you want to do, this is when you do it. Speed and power work needs to be done at maximum intensity. You don't get more powerful and quicker by working to fatigue or working slowly. So if that's something like ball slams or any plyometrics, like your plyometric push-ups on an incline, kneeling ball passes, jumps are a great one. Broad jump, long jump, single leg hops, any of those things, or agility style work where you need to work at maximum capacity without fatigue, you do that first. And you do that in short rep ranges. And as soon as you start to slow down, you're done. Which means you might only do a set or 2. And that's it. Because if you're trying to train for speed and you're doing it into fatigue and slowing down, you're not going to have that adaptation. So let's say you're doing box jumps, which most people don't do well. You do maybe 2 or 3 sets of 3 to 5 reps, and you take 90 seconds in between. You want lots of rest because you want to be working at 100% every time you do a box jump. You do that for 2 to 4 sets, 3 to 5 reps, 60 seconds to 90 seconds rest minimum. Then you're going to go into either if you're going to do like a power movement, so not just body weight speed stuff, but if you're doing Olympic weightlifting, you might do some cleans or some snatches, something like that in there. And then you go into your primary strength movement. In a full body training session, your primary strength movement is probably going to be something that's very demanding and what we call a compound movement, a squat or a deadlift or some variation of that. So let's say it's a deadlift. If you want to train it for strength, you're going to do somewhere between 3 and 10 reps. You want, 90 seconds to 2 minutes of rest, and you're going to do 2 to 4 sets. You do that, you rest, you lift heavy, you rest, you lift heavy. You might choose 2 exercises. You might do deadlifts and then overhead press or bench press. Very common combination. You do the bench and the overhead after something like a deadlift or a squat because the squat or deadlift is more demanding. You need to have more capacity and freshness to get those done well. And then you overhead press or you bench press or you do a heavy row, whatever it's going to be. And then you're less fresh, but the squat deadlift didn't really fatigue your upper body as much. But you don't want a fatigued upper body going into a deadlift or a squat. I hope this makes sense. And then you're going to do, let's say, 2 to 4 exercises in the hypertrophy range, meaning muscle building range. So you're going to be working somewhere between 10 and 20 reps with 90 seconds to 3 minutes rest approximately. Enough to do good work on each set. If you're tired going into every set, you're not going to do as quality of work. So you got your strength and then you do your hypertrophy stuff. And this is where you're going to focus on balancing out the muscles worked. If you've done a press as your primary strength exercise, you're going to want to do some rows. You might want to work shoulders. And this is where you also get to work on aesthetics. So if you want to build nice caps on your delts, if you want to have big bullish traps or pythons for arms, this is where you focus on that. Because this work needs to be taken into the burn, into a level of fatigue with bigger bigger rep ranges, more sets, so that you get the right stimulus for muscle growth. So you don't need to be as fresh because the goal is fatigue in a lot of cases with this type of work. So you might do 2 to 4 exercises there, 2 to 4 sets, 10 to 20 reps. 90 seconds rest minimum, up to 3 to 5 minutes even, depending on how much time you have. And all this is going to depend on what time you have available in terms of what you'll put in an individual workout. And then after that, so we've done warm up / mobility, movement quality work. We've done speed and power. We've done our strength, hypertrophy, focusing on muscle building. And then we do our conditioning or our cardio. And conditioning might be something like sled pushes, rucks. You might do like an EMOM or a little circuit or some complexes where you do multiple exercises back to back to build your work capacity. You don't need to be fresh for that. In fact, being fatigued means that you're going to be better at working in through that fatigue. Then you'll probably add in your cardio if you're going to do that. So you can finish off your session with 15 to 30 minutes of cardio of any sort. That's very low skill work. You don't need to be fresh to walk on a Stairmaster. You don't need to be fresh to go on the treadmill. It's going to be harder, but the goal is to build the endurance, which only happens after you reach fatigue. That is the basic adaptive training program outline. Complex and high needs movements first. Focus on movement. That can be as part of your warm-up or in addition to warm-up. So be warm-up. Second tier order of operations would be your focused movement, quality movement work, speed, power, strength, hypertrophy / muscle building. It's the same thing. It's just a fancy word for muscle building. Conditioning, cardio. And your cardio and conditioning are going to have a lot of crossover. So if you're in strongman sports, you're going to be doing more volume work with the implements that you're using. If you're a runner or like running, you're going to do more running stuff. If you want to build more full body conditioning, you might do circuits. Low skill circuits, not high rep box jumps and snatches, but simple circuits that have very low risk involved because they're not complex. Or you can do general cardio, elliptical, stairmaster, treadmill, rower, that kind of stuff. And then if you're done with that and you got time, feel free to do some general stretching or mobility work again to bring you slowly back to a slower heart rate and lower your core body temperature a little bit. That is the basic outline for setting up a workout. Now, the first thing we talked about was training blocks. So the workout is the thing you do in the session in the gym. Training block is a chunk of time in which you progress your workouts. So say you're doing 3 full body workouts a week, which is fantastic for almost everybody. You might do 3 of those sessions like we just laid out across the week, and you might say, let's do a 4-week block. It's a very standard training block. So that means over 3 weeks, week 1, you're going to work at, say, 70% effort. Week 2, you might work at 80% effort. Week 3, 90 to 100% effort. Really push on week 3. And then on week 4, we might have a programmed deload. And that means that you're going to go into that week and you're going to work at 50 to 60% effort. You're going through the movements, maintaining your habits, maintaining your movement quality, reduced intensity and volume, so that when you start your next training block, you can use the exact same workouts. But when you start on that week 1, where you're working at 70% effort, you're going to be fresh again. And what you should see is that every time you start a training block, if you start here, training block 1, and you can bench press 50 kilos. We should see by the time you get to the next training block, your 70% is now greater than what 70% was before, meaning that 70% on block 2, you might be starting off at 55 kilos, 52 and a half, 60 kilos, whatever it is. And so we have that programmed deload to get fresh so we can adapt and have a stronger baseline when we start each training block. And you can push this out. You could do a 5 or 6 week training block. You go, 70, 80, 90, 100%. That's 4 weeks. Whatever percentage you want to push, and then deload on week 5 or week 6. Repeat the process. And you can run the same workouts for months and months. You don't need a bunch of fancy movements or exercises. You need consistency and hard work. When it comes to choosing exercises that are not strength-based, if you don't have a speed or power movement that you want to work on, and you just want to focus on strength, cool. If you want to just do hypertrophy, just build some muscle, you just remove those first categories and you go, okay, well, I have more time then to focus on hypertrophy. So I'm going to choose 5 or 6 exercises, and I'm going to do 3 or 4 sets. I'm going to push them between 10 and 20 reps, 2 minutes rest in between, and that's fine too. But just start off with understanding your goal so you choose the right exercises. And there's so many exercises out there. I can't really give you all the answers to that. You'll have to do a little research, but start off with the goal. Start off understanding how much time you have for your workout and how big you want your training block to be, and then you can fit in the pieces. And this is something that I've written about on the website, and you can check out the adaptive training blog post. You can just head to strongforlife.online, head to the blog, scroll down until you see adaptive training. I think it's the bottom of the first page right now. And I am working on a resource for this as well. If you need exercise ideas, you can head to my YouTube channel, Coach Josh Wood, and there's a big playlist full of exercise demos. There's like 100 of them there. Otherwise, in the blogs on the Strong for Life website, you can also find heaps of exercise selections. Some mini workouts are there, 5-minute core and mobility things, and you can just borrow exercises from that. Do a little research, have a little Google, have a little YouTube, and be like, all right, I want to get bigger shoulders. What are the best exercises for bigger shoulders? Google that, and then slot it into your full program. Don't just do those. Create your own program, create your workout, pop those into the right spots. And again, if you head to the blog on strongforlife.online, go down to adaptive training, you will find the outline that I've just laid out in text, so you don't have to try to remember it. And that's it. That's the Program Building 101 session. So if you have any questions, hit me up. You can send me a message on Instagram or through the websites or whatever platform you want. Coach Josh Wood. I'm everywhere. Let me know if you have questions, and let's chat about your program. Always happy to talk. Or you can join the Facebook group, Become Strong for Life, and we can chat about it there. There's lots of good resources, lots of people sharing feedback and their workouts. If you're brave enough, just post in there and be like, hey, what exercises are you doing for bigger shoulders? And you'll get lots of great answers. Lots of knowledgeable people in there. So thanks for tuning in. Once again, please rate and review, share with your friends. And if you make your own program, please let me know. I'd love to see it. Until next time, just do your thing. Get stronger. Eat pretty good. And go climb a mountain. See ya.